Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Aloha, everybody. Happy Sunday to one and all. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everything is going your way. Oh boy, it's cloudy, nasty, miserable, wet, rainy, all that stuff. Typical late autumn slash early winter weather in Southern Oregon. And man, I'm already pining for spring. But what can you do? So today, I thought we would just do an open Q&A. I've had guests for the last 2 weeks. I'm going to try to get a couple of more guests on, but it's been a while since I've been able to answer questions and what have you. So figured today would be a good day to do that. So if you have any Vectric or general CNC questions at all, feel free to go ahead and put them over here in the chat. I'll mark them and we'll get to them in due course. But first, I wanted to say hello to and give a shout out to my friend Steve over at Harneal Media, who is here in the chat as well. He's my only moderator, and he runs a tight ship, so be careful. Uh, look, I've been preaching Harneal Media uh, since day one, I think, and I'm going to continue to do so simply because Steve's a good guy and he does what he does very well. Very, very reasonably priced and 100% personalized services. If you're thinking about even toying with the idea of the website, maybe you're getting tired of paying some of the commissions to some of these other places, or you're seeing that the competition over there is a race to the lowest price possible. It's time to start thinking about a website where you can put up a web store and offer your products, your creations, your services, whether you create designs or 3D models or just files. It's always better to have them on your own web page where you're not dealing with commissions, et cetera, et cetera. If you're toying with the idea of merch, Steve can hook you up with a print on demand company that ships worldwide. And they handle all the inventory, they handle all the printing, and they get it out to your customers. They collect all the taxes, they deal with all of that stuff. You just come up with the designs and promote your designs. So I've said it once, I'll say it again. Do yourself a favor. There's a link to Harneal Media in every video and live stream on my channel, and it's that way for a reason. Hit harnealmedia.com, hit that contact us button, and have a chat with Steve. He will take care of you. Thank you very much, Steve, for everything that you do, and hope you're having a great day as well. So, we'll get over here. Um, Jen says, mine didn't start automatically. I missed the hey y'all, and I stayed at the computer just for that instead of going to the shop. I feel robbed. Jen, hey y'all. I said aloha this time. I mean, you got to mix it up every once in a while. Come on. I mean, what can I say? Let's see here. Let me cruise back up real quick and see if I missed any questions before I went over to. Nope, I did not miss any questions over there. But I did have a request from a channel member, subscriber, and just all around good egg, Ellen, Madra 3212. Can we do a refresh again on the two rails sweep? You've talked about this many times, but repetition is helpful. Certainly, Ellen. Let me get over here and bring up Aspire. And I got to warn you that the two rail sweep is an Aspire only function. Okay. This is not available in VCarve Desktop or VCarve Pro. It's Aspire only because we're creating a 3D model. Now, the thing to remember about a two rail sweep is you're going to need, let me take this over here to where you can see me again. You are, as the name implies, going to need two rails for this sweep. They don't have to be parallel. They can be one curved and one at an angle, or both at an angle, or various different shapes. But what we're going to do with the what we're going to do with a two rail sweep is we're going to create a profile that we want to extrude along those two vectors. So in order to get a profile, we can draw it ourselves, or we can cheat a little bit by using the clip art here in the clip art library. Now, I've gone to my clip art library and I've clicked on 2D vectors. And what this is this is a bunch of panel shapes that we can cut out and use, but we can also cheat and use some of these panels to take an interesting shape from. And I'm going to do that now. I'm going to come down here into panel 86 and I'll double click that. And that brings up this big panel that's 12 inches by 12 inches. I'll go back to my design tab. And what I'm interested in is I'm interested in this shape up here at the top. So if I zoom in over here, I can see we kind of come down to a straight line right here. There's a little bit of a curve to it, but not a whole lot. Well, so I want to separate the rest of this and delete this here. So I'll come over here to draw a line, and I'll just come over here off of my material and click and drag a line. I want a straight line all the way across, and tap the space bar to get out of to accept that line. Then I can click off. Now I can come over here and grab my scissors and I can trim that, get rid of all the rest of that. Then I can select that line I just drew and delete it. I don't need that line anymore. Now I can select this part here, and it's 12 inches wide, which is way too big. So I'm going to resize it. I'm going to keep my XY linked. I see here that it's 12 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. Let's see how thick we get if I make it 2 inches wide by about a half inch, a little more than a half inch. I'll go ahead and I'll apply that. So I've just taken that panel and shrunk that top portion of that panel down. Well, now so that's my profile. Now what I need is I need my two drive rails. The thing to remember about a two rail sweep is this works off of open vectors. Okay. You'll need your profile to be an open vector, and you'll need your drive rails to be open vectors. So for drive rails, I'm just going to click down here and go up. Let's go straight up for this one. And there's one line. And here we're going to, let's go about like, let's go about so. And go to here. Now, these are not necessarily straight and perpendicular. Okay. One is shorter than the other, and it's got a slight angle to it. Not very much at all, but it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do, and this is version 12, version 11.5 and earlier is a little bit different. You would have to switch over to your modeling tab. But because the version 12 has eliminated that modeling tab, all of our modeling tools are down here. Okay. So what I want to do first of all is select my drive rails, and that's the important part. These are the two rails. I'm going to sweep this profile across. So I've got my drive rails selected, and I'm going to come down here to the second row. This first icon, create a shape by sweeping between two rail vectors. So I'll click on that, and I have my drive rails selected. I'm going to come right up here to the top, and I'm going to click Use Selection. Now what I've got is I've got a red line here and a green line here. What I need to make sure of is that I have start points on both of these at the same area and the rails are going in the same direction. If they're not, if one of these drive rails, the arrows are pointing in the opposite direction, I need to reverse the direction of that rail. Otherwise, it's not going to do what you want it to do. Okay, so I've got these selected. Start points are down here. They're both in the same place, or going in the same direction, rather. Now, I can back up here, and I can click my profile, and you see how my cursor changed to the arrow, and it's got that little profile outline right there. And I can come down here, and I'm going to start on this one. And you see I've got a check mark. And I'll click. Now what that's done, you can see these lines across here, and they run all the way to the end. What this is saying is it's going to drive this profile all the way down both vectors. Okay. Now I'm going to split my views here vertically. So I have the 2D view and the 3D view going at the same time. I'm going to sweep them between the spans, and I'll name it molding 1. And I'm going to apply that sweep. We've got a combine mode of add, and that's fine. I'm going to apply that sweep and watch my 3D view. And that's created this molding by extruding this shape all the way along those drive rails. Okay, let's go ahead and make this full screen, and we can now see what we have here. Now, some of you are saying, okay, wait a minute, how is this different from the molding toolpath? It's different from the molding toolpath in one way, which is very important. The molding toolpath does not create a 3D model. The molding toolpath creates a toolpath, and that's all. This is creating a 3D model. So if I want to add to this a blank space here to create, to be able to add text or something like this, you can add certain material. You can add another component to the top of this. So that's one of the main differences. The other difference is, let me go ahead and close this. Now that I have my profile shape and I have everything the way I want it, I can actually export this as clip art in Aspire. So I can keep this for the next time I want to use it. So that's the main difference between this and the molding toolpath. The molding toolpath creates a toolpath. It does not create a 3D model. Now, let me go back up here to the top, and I'm going to go ahead and split these up. and I'm going to Control Z. Because what I can do is I can also combine them to where I've got one profile down here and another profile up here, and this will blend from one to the other. So let me go ahead and make another profile, and I'll just go ahead and maximize my 2D view right now. I want to get this size here, and the width is 2 inches. Okay, we'll close that. And I'm going to create a 2-inch diameter circle, 2-inch, and we'll just do that. Close. And now I'm going to tap N to go into node editing. And I'm going to cut my vector here. So right click, cut vector, right click, cut vector. And I'll right click to come out of node editing. And I want to delete that half. I don't need that. Now I want to adjust this size a little bit because it's way too tall. I want to go in here and I'm going to turn off link XY. And I'm going to make this 0.5 tall. Apply. Close. So now what I can do, I'll go back to splitting my screen vertically. Let's just kind of move this over so they're easier to get to. I'm going to select my 2 drive rails, go back into 2 rail sweep. I've got my 2 drive rails selected. I'll click on use selection, sweep between spans, and I'm going to click on this profile and bring it right here. Click. Now I'm going to take this profile and I'll come over here and come on. Click. Nope. Oh, I've got a reverse direction. I can't reverse direction. Ugh. Okay, I've used that selection. No, come on, Mark. It's not going to let me do it. Shift. Now, let me get out of this. Hold on. All right, select my drive rails, go into 2 rail sweep. I want this. No, come on. Select my drive rails, use selection. Okay. Select vectors in turn to use as cross sections. I want to go here, right there. I want to go here, right here. Come on, give me my check mark. Okay. I think I did it backwards, but let's see. Apply. Yes, it did work. Shoo. Okay. So we can see now that this profile here, if I open up a little bit better, we can see that this flute profile here slowly blends in and becomes just this half profile here. I can Control Z, open this, use selection. Let's go back to the 2D view. And I can click on this one, bring it down here, check. Click on this one, and I want this to start right there. Okay. So now we'll go back into change and we'll apply. And we can see what that's done. It's given me a smooth area here in the center, but I've got my flutes here and my flutes here. So there are a lot of different things that you can do with this tool, with the 2-rail sweep. You can blend as many, well, I won't say as many different profiles as you'd like, but you can apply some very cool profiles and some very cool treatments. And these don't have to be round. Let me reset. I will close, and I'll come out here and I'll draw a 2-inch wide by 3/4 inch tall rectangle. Create. And again, I need open vectors. So I'll go into node editing and I'll just delete this span. And I want to make this my start point. Make that start point. Okay, right click. And now I can select my 2 drive rails, go into 2-rail sweep. I've got my drive rails selected. I can use the selection here. I can bring this, we'll start down here, and we'll take my square and I'll put it right here. Then I'll take this and I'll put it right here. Then I'll take this and I'll come back to right there. And I'm just making this up as I go along. So I have put 3 different profiles into this one single profile. It's going to look ugly as sin, but let's check it out. Now we'll apply it and we'll maximize my 3D view, but we can see what that has done. I've gone from my flute to a rectangular portion up here to a smooth half circle, more or less here, and then back into my flutes again. So again, yes, 8th Center, this is Aspire only because we're creating a 3D model. So this model can also, again, be saved. I select the model, come up to model. I can export it as an STL, as a grayscale bitmap, or as 3D clip art to put into my clip art folders here. So that's the main difference between this and the molding toolpath. This makes an actual model. So I hope that answered it, Ellen. It is actually very simple to do. You just need to remember that you're working in open vectors. Now, Ray Russell is asking, can you make a 360-degree tube? Let's try it. I really do not know. I haven't tried it. So let's try it. We will take all of those and delete them. Don't need those anymore. And I'll make a, let's make a 12-inch circle based on my X0, Y0, and we'll create it. Now we'll create a 10-inch circle and we'll create that. So I have 2 closed vectors. Now I need a profile. Let's find something else that looks kind of cool. Let's use this panel. Okay. And what I'll do is let's go ahead and shrink that down a little bit. We'll make it, I'll link the XY and we'll make it 6 inches by 6 inches, just so we're working with it in here. Close. All right, now I'm going to draw a line from here to here. Close that. Take my scissors, snip off that half, delete the line. No longer need it. Now I need to resize this. I made this, that should be 2 inches difference, but let's make sure. It may just be 1 inch. And it is 1 inch. Okay. So I want to make this 1 inch wide. So we'll take that. I'll link my XY just to see what it does. And that's about a 1/2 inch. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll apply that. So close. And now we'll select our drive rails, go into 2-rail sweep, use selection, and it does work. So we're going around in this direction. We're going around in this direction. Looks good. Let's split this in half. And now I'll take my profile and click. It's going to project, extrude it all the way around. We'll apply it. And there is that profile, which is an ugly profile, but you get the gist. That would work for a round picture frame. This would make a good mirror frame. That kind of thing. Work on curved rails. You could do wooden swords with this so easy by the look. Yes, sir, it will. You can use, I'm seeing now for the first time, because I haven't tried it yet, that you can actually, it will actually work with closed vectors. So we'll close that. That's good. Go straight up to the top again. And now let's go ahead and play just a little bit. Let me back out of here a little bit. Go into my clip art tab. I'm going to go into my domes and dishes, and I'm going to take a flat round. Let's take this flat round oval. We'll add that, but I'm going to resize the heck out of it. Let me zoom in here. I'm going to resize it way down, like so. And now I'm going to place it right. Nope, I got to put it on the top. Let's go into my component tab. We're set to merge. I don't want to set to merge. I want to set to add. We're going to put right on top here, right in the center. And I'm going to go into properties. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. I'm going to bring my base height up. Let's try a 1/4 inch. Catch up. And I don't want it to take on that shape. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to change that to merge and just make it taller. So let's go with a 1/2 inch base height. Bring that up. There we go. And now I can monogram that if I'd like. I could engrave a name or what have you in this. So I could actually be a decoration. I could copy it. I could do a circular array of those, making 4 of them, and use that as a decoration or what have you. So you see the difference. You're actually creating a 3D model. You're not creating just the tool path as you would with the molding tool path. Couldn't think of the name. So, I mean, all kinds of options available, but the basis is that 2-rail sweep. Or you could write the hour on it and make it a clock frame. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. You could add grape leaves to it. You could add all kinds of things to it. we would just get into, I'm using my hands like you can see me here. We're just getting into assembling a composite model, and everything just gets either added or merged with it. So uh, the only limit, I know this is a cliche, but it's 100%. Um, the only limit is your imagination. I mean, and you saw how long it took me to do that. So I was thinking more of a post or support column. That would be done with a Rotary project. And I would have to get into that. I've never done it for a Rotary project, but since I've added the Rotary to my CNC, I certainly am thinking about it. Something like this. Excuse me, something like this, except as a Rotary project for like Greek columns or something like that. But I will look for I will look for his channel, and there is a gentleman by the name of Dennis Van Hoof who does. He actually made a Greek column about, I don't remember how tall it was or how big around it was, but he did it as a four-sided project because he doesn't have a Rotary, and it came out absolutely gorgeous. Not only did he have the flutes in the column, he actually had some carving up at the top and down at the bottom because it was done as he indexed his piece of material, cut one side, turned it 90 degrees, cut it again, turned it 90 degrees, cut it again, that kind of thing. Now, let me play with two rail sweep on a Rotary project, and that could be a subject for another video because I do have something I need to do that this would be a good method, a good technique to use. So that's the two rail sweep. Did that help you, Ellen? I'm hoping so. But let's see. Let me get out of that. Bring that back around over here, and I can delete everything because we have other questions. Poof. And there we go. All right. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. There he is. Steve, you are the man. Dennis Van Hoof, Greek column video. There's a link to it. I will also link it in the description as soon as we're done live here. And if you're not subscribed to Dennis, he hasn't put out a video in quite a while. Get over there and subscribe and check out what he's doing. The guy is doing some absolutely amazing work. I mean, we're talking about a 3D, I don't remember how tall it was, but it's a Tyrannosaurus skeleton like you would see in a museum or what have you on a little shapeoko. You know, the guy has done some phenomenal work. So, okay, let's see here. Alan Williamson says, "Is there time to run through carving from a photo?" Um, I'm gonna have to beg your indulgence because I've got to display my ignorance. I have never used the Photo V-Carve here. And what we're talking about is the Photo V-Carve toolpath. I've never done one. It's something that I do want to do. I've got a picture already chosen to do it. I just have never done it. And I have a major philosophical problem with presuming to teach somebody how to do something I've never done myself. There's a lot of bad information out there on the internet, and I don't want to add to it. So I'm gonna have to kind of beg your indulgence on this. Let me do a few, and then I will I'll do a video on it. But as for right now, I don't want to give you bad information or lead you in the wrong direction. So, and I apologize, Alan. Okay, Michael Ludwig said, is there a way to use a slot cutter for thread milling? I want to cut mason jar lids. A slot cutter, this is kind of getting into uh, almost like Acme threads. All I can say is experiment. The hardest part about this thread milling toolpath, and I've not done a video on it yet, and I need to. The hardest part about this thread milling toolpath here is the actual tool that you're selecting. A lot of times it will not let you select the tool that you want to use. And there is no Acme thread support here. So if you're selecting anything other than a thread mill, it's not going to let you do it. So what you're going to have to do is take that slot cutter and fake it till you make it, basically. The hardest part is getting it to let you put that bit in. And it's going to be a case of trial and error because none of these settings are going to match up with what your slot cutter is going to be. Because in using something like a thread mill, I'm going to go with this 3/4 inch 60 degree. It needs all of these measurements. It needs a diameter. It needs the included angle, which is the angle of this side cutter here. It needs the tool height, H, and I can't make this any bigger. I wish I could. It needs that height of the cutter. It needs the size, which is basically how deep that side cutter is going to cut. And it's going to need the offset, which is a measurement from the tip of that side cutter down to the bottom. Now, if you are able to get that bit into your tool database, and Michael says, I've tried 1,000 times and can't make it work. But MJ here says, where'd you go? Yes, you can use a slot cutter to create Acme threads. The profile needs to be added, and beware that you will, as Mark is saying, that undercut is not visible. And what he means by that is when you go to profile this, preview this, any bit that creates an undercut, that undercut is not going to be visible in the preview. It's just going to look like you did it with an end mill. Okay. The short answer to the long question, Michael, is you can do it, but it's going to be a case of trial and error. Pick a pitch, a diameter, and a fit tolerance, and work within those parameters until you get these numbers fudged enough to where it actually works. I have asked, and a few other people have asked, Vectric to include Acme thread support in this toolpath because I have several Acme tools, but Vectric won't allow me to enter them. Now you can see by my tool database here that I am playing around with an Acme tool, trying to get it to work, and I haven't yet been able to get it to work. I'm getting closer, but It would be so much easier if they would allow us to enter an Acme bit. So right now, that's about all there is. Um, it's going to be a case of trial and error. So um, maybe MJ Jeanson, maybe you can hook up with Michael Ludwig somehow. I don't know, through social media somehow or via email or what have you. Unfortunately, YouTube won't allow you to post a link. So can't really do it in here, but maybe if there's a way you guys can exchange information, I don't know. Maybe you can pick up some tips. But right now, there is no support. I have asked for it. I was in a video chat with a person over at Vectric, and they asked me what was so important about it. And I was able to finally show them right there on video, on the video chat, this is why. We need to be able to create a wider gap between the threads. The threads need to have a square top like Acme threads. And that's a lot better for creating threads in wood for some projects, not all, but for some projects. They finally understood, and but I haven't heard anything back on whether they're going to incorporate it or not. But the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So the more people that ask for it, the more likely they are to include it. But Acme thread support for woodworking would be a huge benefit, believe me. So, you know, there's a call to action. Email Vectric support and request it. Just the subject is feature request. And there you go. I mean, so, oh man. Well, let's see here. Where that's all of the questions. Did anybody have any other questions? We've only been on for a little over 45 minutes. But I can sit here and tap dance a little bit more, I guess, but nobody wants to see that. I have been working on a few projects behind the scenes. Okay, there you go. Michael, and I didn't mean to volunteer you, by the way, but he's in on Facebook under Jeanson's Joinery. And I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Please remember, butchering names and saying the wrong word is my thing. Um, maybe you can get a hold of him and we can go from there. I will definitely be getting a hold of you because I'd like to talk to you about that as well. So um, it'll be from me. Can't mistake it. I'll send you a friend request. So, or shoot you a message one way or the other. So, um, okay, I did get it. All right. Hmm. Okay, it looks to me like Jed Salzman is trying to start another civil war here. Nope, that's not it. That's it. That's certain areas, them's fighting words. So, you know, unless you're one of those people in Cincinnati who add spaghetti, then, you know, what can you say? Rusty 4408 is asking, what project are you planning on making on the Rotary? I have several. My wife is a spinner, weaver, knitter. She does everything but raise the sheep, mainly because I had to put my foot down somewhere. And she has, as a result of that, she has several spinning wheels that need repair. A lot of them are missing a spindle on the flywheel, or they've got an upright that's broken or something like that. And So I'm going to have to make a few of those. I also have some other ideas rattling around up here. So you never know what's going to happen. I have a lot of rotary axis projects on my mind, and you never know what it's going to be. So there we go. I'm Canadian. We don't know this stuff. Well, there are some things you never want to argue, depending upon where you are. Universally, you don't want to get into politics or religion. Regionally, you don't want to get into barbecue, college football, or chili. So, you know, what can I say? Um, I don't want to get started on that. But yes, uh, Kurt has an excellent point here. Must have either have cornbread or fry bread with chili. 100%. Cornbread is my default, but fry bread, look it up. And oh man, is it good. Look it up. Fry bread is excellent. So, all right. We need to get out of the food talk because I haven't had lunch yet. Okay. One more little bit of food talk. This is not going to be put onto my channel on this channel, but I will be posting it over on my other channel, which I creatively named Mark's Other Channel. Finally making my cutting board that I've been working on forever. I've got to trim this down today, and I'm going to be adding another band of walnut around it. It's a chaos pattern end grain cutting board, and that's for me because my wife will not allow me anywhere near hers with a knife. So, what's on my T-shirt tonight? Avid CNC. Avid CNC is on my T-shirt. So, thank you, Jen. Thank you, Brooks. Let me switch back over to that camera here real quick. Hold 1 second, and I'll jump over there real fast. I can turn off the heater now. It's 2-inch thick. It's a chaos pattern field here. This is 100% scrap wood. I did not buy any wood for this project. This is all pieces left over from other projects or things that people have sent to me. There's canary wood, there's myrtle wood, there's wenge, there's walnut, maple, cherry, red oak, white oak, sapele. There is all kinds of stuff in here. Maple, walnut. Some of this walnut is actually reclaimed hardwood flooring. And what I need to do now is I got to trim off these ends here, then glue up another panel, and I'm going to add another 1/2 inch or so of walnut all the way around it. I'm going for a final size of 15 inches wide by 20, and I'm right at 14 by 19 and a half. So I got to go a little bit more walnut around, and then that's my cutting board. So yes, there will be a juice groove added to it. I'm going to put it right along this border where the walnut meets the maple. Cook quite a few briskets and other big things in the smoker, and I need a big cutting board. So that's why I'm doing that. So it will not go on my CNC channel because the only CNC involved in this is surfacing end grain. And believe me, it is nice. So, let's see. Kurt over at Crafty Jan says, have you tried the chamfer toolpath? I do a manual chamfer now, but this looks interesting. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. But I am going to go ahead and do it because you're right. It looks real interesting. I do a manual chamfer as well. In fact, I'm going to do one on that cutting board. Excuse me. I'm going to do about an 1/8 inch deep 45-degree chamfer using a 90-degree V-bit. 8th Center is asking, what is brisket? A brisket is a large beef roast made from the front leg quarter, the front chest, excuse me, of the beef. And it is a lot of people say it's a very hard cut to cook. It is for a beginner. It has to be cooked for a long time, otherwise it's tough. But it makes some of the most succulent beef you have ever had. I mean, and it's basically it's a staple in Texas. If you live in Texas and you think you know how to barbecue, if you don't make several briskets a year, you're just half stepping. So I think that's a rite of passage in Texas. You have to cook at least one brisket, but it's a very large cut of beef. Jen Salzman, is there a how-to somewhere to make something like that? I would think it's assembled a bit differently than a regular end grain cutting board. Not not as difficult as you would expect. I will look for the correct video. There is a YouTube channel out there called MTM Wood, Mike Tango Mike Wood. And he's got several videos on making the chaos pattern end grain cutting boards. I will look for he's got like 5 or 6 different videos, but the one that he did absolutely the best is the one that I followed. He is in Russia, and some of his videos you need to turn on subtitles, but this one is just 100% music and ASMR. There's no subtitles needed. You can follow along with how he does it. The main thing is basically glue up panels of different woods. And this is a piece of cutoff from that cutting board. And you can see I just made a panel of all these different woods, glued it up, planed it flat. Then when you go to cut it, I cut those 2 1/8 thick, and you end up with a bunch of different colors. Glue them together, cut them up again. Glue them together, cut them up again. It's a process. I got a bunch of leftovers here. That's another leftover from one of my glue ups. And every time you cut it up, you make these pieces smaller and smaller and smaller to where it looks like you have glued a bunch of teeny tiny pieces together. And no, you haven't. You're just cutting it up smaller. Am I talking about MTM Wood? Yes, I am. And Steve, right on it. MTM Wood channel. There's the link. I will go over and I will pick out the video that I recommend to folks. It's basically as I just described, gluing them up. And a lot of people get upset because I'll glue it up, then cut it up, and then flip them over and mix and match. Glue it up, cut it up, a minimum of 3 times. Then when you put together that big field, you'll cut that up a minimum of 3 times lengthwise and a minimum of 3 times widthwise. So, and that just mixes and matches everything so that you don't have any of the same wood glued together. It's wild. So, let's see here. But yes, I will put a link in the description to the right one. Let's see here. 8th center. Any tips on measuring an oval glass table to perfectly match in Vectric to do engraving on? Yes, basically, let's go back over here to Aspire. What you're looking at, I'll just draw an oval, but these are the measurements that you want to get. You want to get the width in X and the height in Y. So measure from, I'll just go ahead and I'll draw one out here. We'll do this. So pretend that's your table or the glass. You'll want to measure the widest point from tip to tip here, then the highest point from tip to tip here. And as long as if you have those measurements, you can go into your draw ellipse and you can enter those measurements right here. So it really is that simple. So, yeah, that's what I mean. He's on it and he's everywhere. He's probably in 6 different live streams right now, if I know Steve. And that's what I mean when I say I don't know how he does what he does, but he does it very well. Yeah, Michael, there are as many ways of smoking a brisket as there are of making spaghetti or spaghetti sauce. And I don't know if any two people do it the same way. So, but the thing about it is get you an accurate thermometer and stay for the day. Just know that brisket is generally a 2-day thing. You're going to season it, and I let it sit in the fridge overnight after I've seasoned it. Then I'll put it on the smoker and that'll cook. Then a heated rest overnight, and that makes everything gel, breaks down that collagen, breaks down those connective tissues, and I'm making myself hungry. All right, I think we got to go. So I will get MTM Wood link, and I will get a link to Dennis Van Hoof's for that Greek column. And believe me when I say, if you get into making end grain cutting boards, it can take on a life of its own. Personally, I don't buy scrap. I don't buy wood for end grain cutting boards. I make them all out of scrap because my attitude is when I pay like crazy for wood, and I paid the same $6 a board foot for this piece of cherry scrap that I've already made a project out of. I've paid the same $6 a board foot for this that I did for the project. So I'm not going to throw it away. I can use this for something. That's a nice sized chunk of cherry. I can use this. So I don't throw it away. I do reclaim woods. I do, uh, I have pulled apart. There are pieces in that cutting board. There are pieces of furniture in there. That's where the white oak came from. So I just don't throw it away. And when I gather up enough, I'll make something like that. So to me, there's no such thing as scrap because I can use it. And if it gets too small to use, I can ding dong sure cast it in epoxy and ship it off to somebody who can turn something on a lathe. So I've got a tall kitchen garbage bag full of walnut planer shavings that I've incorporated into a couple of projects. And one is soon to come. This is walnut planer shavings cast into this blue mica powder epoxy. And that's going to be a catch-all tray. So, I'm that cheap. But hey, what can I tell you? Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for spending part of your Sunday with me. I've got to get going on getting this cutting board trimmed down and glue up a couple more walnut panels. Next week, I'm not sure what is going to go on. I may have a guest. I'm not sure yet. He hasn't confirmed. We'll see what happens. If not, I will have a topic for next week. It won't be me tap dancing here and us talking about food and making one another hungry. So, channel members, tomorrow on the members only live stream, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, we're going to get into some let's see, we'll do some circular arrays, we'll do some sizing, we'll do some linear arrays. We're going to get into that tray I showed that Larry Viner sent me the file for, and we're going to design one for scratch. So that'll be tomorrow. We're also going to answer a few questions about 3D modeling and how to set things to different height within the 3D modeling. So that's again tomorrow at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, and check the community tab for the link to that live Q&A, that members only live stream. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you would like some information on becoming a channel member, just look for the word join down there underneath this video panel somewhere. Click that link and a little panel is going to pop up and a video is going to play, tell you all about channel membership. We have a great group of folks and we'd love to have you join us. Like get you hooked up with the super secret Facebook group and teach you the membership handshake and all that other good stuff. So again, thank you all very, very much for spending part of your Sunday with me. Thank you, Steve, for all your help. And until next week, yeah, y'all take care. Have a great one. Go do something cool. Make some chips. Do something. Anything. Y'all take care. Thank you.